Hey everyone, it's Tabria back with another episode of Milk Trunk. And before I mention today's special guest, we have another guest, my daughter. She had to come to work with mom today because I had no help. So it just worked out that way. This is a parenting podcast, so we're getting the nitty gritty of parenthood. Joining us today is entrepreneur, educator, influencer, fellow Dear Media podcaster, and very soon mom-to-be, Jaci Marie. Jaci shares an unfiltered glimpse into her life, including her journey to parenthood on social media and the hit podcast she co-hosts, What We Said. And I love that she doesn't shy away from the hard stuff because it makes people facing their own challenges feel less alone and validated. Welcome to the podcast, Jaci. I'm so glad to have you on. I was wondering, this is a Bobbie podcast, and we always ask what our parents' feeding journeys are like. And obviously you haven't experienced it yet, but do you have any plans on what your feeding journey will be or what it will look like?
I am trying to go into every aspect of parenthood. I don't want to say with no expectations, but some hopes, and then we'll just see where it takes me. I feel like because I am going to be a working mom and I know that I'm going to have to be on the go sometimes and be leaving her sometimes, I plan on breastfeeding. That is my plan, but I am very open to supplementing with formula. Obviously, not everyone has a super easy journey breastfeeding, so I'm also open to it not maybe working out, but I do plan on trying to breastfeed and maybe kind of doing a combo of breastfeeding and formula. I would love for whether I'm like pumping and I can leave milk, or my daughter takes formula, hopefully, so that I can leave her with my husband if I have to go to LA for the day for work or whatever it is, and he can feed her. So that is my current plan.
Yeah, that's how I was too. I had no expectations really, but I wanted to try breastfeeding just to see, what would happen. Nobody in my family breastfed, surprisingly. So it was just a totally new ball game for me. I had no one to look up to for advice or anything. So it was all on the internet. Yeah, it was hard. So I just, I wish you the best of luck with whatever happens, but we've combo fed all throughout and it worked out great. It's not that deep. People kind of frown upon moms who use formula for whatever reason, but it totally worked out for us.
I feel like that's getting better, or at least I like to hope so. That's the way I look at it. I haven't really been in the weeds researching a bunch of feeding stuff until now that I'm going to actually have a baby, but I feel like I used to hear that all the time, like, you should breastfeed, and kind of getting shamed for using formula. And I feel like nowadays it's getting so much more, hopefully a little bit less judgmental about that. And just people are more open to it. A lot of my friends feed with formula and they love it. Honestly, my friends use Bobbie.
Yeah,
And so,
same.
I've heard the most and heard the best things about Bobbie. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm planning to use if I'm using formula for sure. And I feel like I agree. It's just not that deep. Like, as long as your baby's getting fed and it works for you and your family, who cares how it's being done,
Exactly. Well, I definitely want to talk with you about your journey to pregnancy and with IVF and all of that. I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to all of that and all of the different options available out there. So this has been like a few years in the making, right? Could you just give me some background on when you first started, how you knew that you wanted to pursue this journey?
Yeah. So Leif and I, my husband, started trying to get pregnant. At this point, it's been like over 4 years ago. And we basically couldn't get pregnant on our own for over a year. And so we just went to get some testing done to make sure, to see if there was anything that they could point to as a reason we weren't getting pregnant. And we both got tests done. They did find some irregularity with my husband's sperm, which attributed to he had cancer when he was younger. And so he went through chemotherapy. And so they think that could have been the reason. But luckily, with the specific result we got, they were like, that can be helped through IVF. Like, that's something that you can, do something about. You can also try IUIs. Are you familiar with what an IUI is?
No, I had never heard of that before.
A lot of times people will do a few of those before they try IVF because it's just less invasive. You don't have to do as many shots and medication to prep your body. They basically put the sperm up you and like let it go and say, okay, we put it in like a really good spot. So there's a better chance of you getting pregnant on this cycle, and you time it with, your cycle and everything. So it gives you a better shot. We did 3 of those. None of those worked. And so we then moved on to IVF. We did an egg retrieval, which is where I do a bunch of shots, prep my body. They retrieve the eggs, then they combine the eggs with the sperm and they create embryos. And then ultimately they put an embryo inside you and hope that it sticks and that you get pregnant. So we did 2 rounds of that because the first one was unsuccessful. So they put an embryo in and I had a failed transfer. We got some more information, did some more testing. Then the second transfer was the successful one. So that's how I'm pregnant now.
Oh, I love that for you. I was going through your socials and you documented your entire journey, and I felt like I was on the emotional roller coaster with you. And I don't think people really considered all of the emotions that are wrapped up in going through IVF, especially how physically exhausting it is as well, because I saw videos of like your husband and your dad helping you with the shots and everything. And I never knew what that looked like. I thought it was just you go in a doctor's office, they do something, and then you just wait and see. But you have to do a lot of the work as well. I know that it's such an emotional journey, but how did that feel? Did you know like all that would go into it and just the amount of prep and the amount of work that you would have to do for it?
I think I was definitely surprised by the amount of work that you do have to go through physically, emotionally, mentally, all of it. I had consumed some people's content about IVF, which definitely helped me kind of prepare for my journey. I felt like if I hadn't seen anyone's journey online, I might have been a little more blind or like ill prepared. But I felt like by watching some other people go through it, I was like, okay, yeah, it's a lot of shots. It kind of helped me wrap my mind around it, which is ultimately why I decided to share my journey and all the steps, is because just to kind of educate more on IVF, because so many people really do deal with infertility and a lot of people choose to do IVF. And I had so many comments, and even from people in my real life, from my friends, who they were like, wait, I had no idea that's what you were doing when you got home every day. Like, because no one really, besides the people you live with, are seeing the intricacies and
Right.
just how time consuming and how all consuming it really is. I mean, at one point I was going to the doctor every day, getting vaginal ultrasounds, blood work done, and then doing 3 shots a day. I mean, it kind of was all consuming and took over my life for a little period of time. And that was really the reaction I got from a lot of people, whether it was my friends or just people on the internet, just saying, oh my gosh, I had no idea all of this went into IVF. And so, yeah, I was really grateful to share because I think it can empower people like it did for me. When I saw other people going through it, I was like, that looks hard, but they did it. And, it's very rewarding as well. And so it did empower me. And then it also just educates people, I guess,
Yeah.
as to what the process can look like.
Yeah, I definitely found out a lot watching your videos, honestly. And I saw that you recently shared you're having a girl. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I have a daughter too. She's currently 8 months. And I mean, saying it's such a joy is an understatement. It's been really amazing and like such a transformative experience. But I saw that you were sharing some names that you bypassed on, and that the Daily Mail wrote an article about it, and they were just really blowing it out of proportion. And I watched the video and I'm like, these names aren't even that crazy. They're really cute, retro. Like I was like, what was that?
Okay, well, thank you for the validation, because when I shared, I was like, oh, these are not crazy names. Like, I feel like there may be some of them are a little unique, but I just thought they were cute. And I was like, I'm not going to use them, so I'll just share them. And I was shocked at this. There were a lot of people, honestly, that's why I was shocked about the article, because most of the comments were like, oh, I love these. These are so cute.
Yeah.
And I feel like baby names are very controversial for some reason. Like if you
Yeah.
I don't know, people get all up in arms about like, you cannot name your kid that. And so some
Mm-hmm.
comments were like that. But then, yeah, the Daily Mail wrote an article. They were like, pregnant influencer sparks major controversy. And I was like, oh, I didn't know we were getting so controversial today. So
Right.
anyway, yeah, we'll stay tuned for the name reveal, I guess. I guess I have crazy taste. So we'll see.
No, well, I'm definitely looking forward to the name reveal. You know, some of your friends have babies already, right? Are you like the last of your friends to get pregnant?
I am one of the last, which it's some benefits to that, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, you
So
have like a great village already to get information from. Do you already seek information from your friends now?
for sure, I
Mhm.
have a lot of women in my life who are moms, and I'm so grateful for that because I feel like that definitely is my village. And especially having an online platform, which I have had for so long. And I love getting insight from my community about a bunch of different stuff, about recommendations for this and that. But I
Yeah.
feel like with parenthood specifically, it's one of the things I'm probably not going to outsource information from, like the
Mhm.
internet necessarily. Depending, maybe if I'm like, oh, what's your favorite stroller or breast pump? Like, I'd be open to that. But again, I have such close friends who I could already go to for that information, and it's so close to
Mhm.
the source and close to me. Yeah, with the platform thing and just on social media, it can get very overwhelming because everyone's going to have a contradicting opinion.
Totally. Mhm.
So I plan on using a lot of just my own intuition and then asking
Mhm.
my own mom, my family members, my friends who have been moms for a long time, and they can hopefully give me a lot of good insight into a lot of different things.
Yeah. Well, mother's intuition is such a real thing. So you are definitely going to develop that, over time. I was the first of my friends to have a baby. So I didn't really have anybody outside of family to ask questions to. And I relied heavily online for a lot of stuff. And like you said, there's so much contradictory information out there. Like for everything you can find about bottle feeding, you can find a con about it. It's way too much, and like deciphering through all that can be exhausting. So I love that you have like a built-in community already. That's really awesome. Do you
For
have
sure.
like a village for raising your child? And I know like you're working, like you said, like how are you going to balance that work life as a mom now?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I was just watching this video actually. It wasn't about parenthood or motherhood or anything, but I feel like I could relate to it in this sense. It was talking about how in today's day and age, a lot of us don't ask for favors as much, even from people we
Mm,
know. So they were
yeah.
talking about how it's like, oh, well, why would I ask my friend if they could take me to the airport when I have Uber? Or
Yeah.
why would I ask my friend to borrow your dress for this event that I have to go to when I could just get one on Amazon? Like there's
Mhm.
so many easy quote unquote options. And so sometimes it like takes the connection in the community out of your life and kind of isolates you to just like doing a lot of stuff on your own. And I was like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I feel like that's really true. I really hope that I can, I don't know, like ask for help and ask for favors and that my friends will feel comfortable asking me for the same. Hey, can you watch my kid on this day? I have to go
Yeah.
do this. I do have a lot of friends who I would totally trust to help me out. And luckily, I also have a husband that works with me. And so we have a lot of flexibility in our schedule where I anticipate that he will obviously be a huge help because he doesn't have
Yeah.
to leave our house for work.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really big blessing. And yeah, I guess we'll just wait to see how much help I need and
Mhm.
how it all works. But I definitely do plan on outsourcing for help for sure. Whether that's
Mhm.
whatever that means, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. I think I saw that same video or article that you're talking about. It's like how millennials specifically don't ask for help anymore nowadays. And I'm so guilty of that. I'm so hyper independent. And I didn't realize it until I had a kid, until I desperately needed help, until I just needed a break. So my friends are hearing from me about every other day, like, oh, come watch your little niece,
Yeah.
let's give mommy a little break. And
Yeah.
it's honestly been a beautiful thing, like rediscovering my friendships, and just finding new aspects out about my friends in that instance, because like I said before, my friends don't have kids, none of them do. So it's really interesting seeing them, bond with my daughter and just how they are with her. It's a really beautiful thing, and I'm sure you'll experience the same thing too. Also, I want to pivot into paid leave, and I think we're both in unique situations where we're essentially freelancers, own our own businesses, so we don't really qualify for paid leave. Unfortunately, that's not something I realized until I was like 7 months pregnant, and it was just too late at that point anyway. But is that something that you thought about, or you just knew from the get-go, like, oh, I'm going to have to plan to, I need maybe save a little more or work a little more to prepare for the future? Like, how did you approach that?
Yeah, I feel the same where I don't know if that hit me until now, which is,
Mm-hmm.
my kind of the end of my pregnancy. I was like, "Oh, wow." I mean, maybe it hit me like a month ago or a few weeks ago. I was like, I need to probably, take on a little bit of extra work, which is transparently like kind of hard when you're towards the end of your pregnancy to be like, I need to work harder than ever. It's like, oh, wow, I'm like
Literally.
really tired. But
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do.
yeah, luckily with my situation, which is super nice. So I have a podcast as well, and I host it with my best friend, and she just had a baby. So
Oh, wow.
our babies are going to be a few months apart, but our maternity
Ugh.
leaves kind of line up where we're not both out at the same time. So
Right.
she's been out for a few weeks, and I've been holding down the fort and just we batched some episodes
Yeah.
in preparation, and then I had a few guests that I did, and anyway, now she's going to help me do the same. So I will get a maternity leave where we've batched and prepped episodes, and then she'll do a few on her own as well. And that's really helpful because even though it is a little bit of extra work to be like batching and things like that, it's
Mm-hmm.
something I know I can rely on. I can have a break, but there's still episodes going up. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely with the other brands I work with and stuff, I've been probably taking on more than I normally do.
Do you know how much time you plan on like fully taking off and like checking out from work?
The model that we've followed up to this point that my best friend is doing as well is like 2 weeks before we're due and then a month after.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the plan. We'll see
Yeah.
if anything shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned, you can plan a lot when it comes to children, but you're just going with the flow in the end, honestly.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're pretty. Does your family live here? Do they live near you?
No, they live in
Oh,
Arizona.
oh, are they
Yeah.
coming in?
Yeah, my mom is going to come in and she'll hopefully be there when I give birth and then a little bit after to help out.
Yeah,
So that'll be really nice.
I love that. Out of curiosity, are you going to share like your birth story? Are you going to vlog it or anything like that?
I don't know. I've
Mm-hmm.
been playing all of this by ear because this is what I did with IVF too. I documented it and then I was like, I'll see how I feel afterwards and if I want to share because it is so personal,
Yeah,
and vulnerable. And that's kind of how I feel about my birth. I'm like, I'm sure I'll document it. I'm just such a documenter. Like by nature, I
yeah,
love photos, I love videos. So
yeah,
I'm sure I'll document some aspect of my birth. And then I think I'll just see what parts of it I feel comfortable sharing.
for
I definitely
sure.
want to talk about my birth story for sure on my podcast and like talk about my experience, but we'll see if I'm open to sharing the visuals or parts of
Yeah,
it. Yeah, when it
yeah.
comes closer.
You don't know what's going to happen. So you don't know if you want to expose, all those vulnerabilities and such intimate moments of your life.
For sure.
I was the same way. I documented I had a home birth,
Okay.
and I didn't know if it would pan out that way. It's what I planned on, but you never know
Right.
what's going to happen. But I ended up documenting it, and I felt good enough to share, with people, and it was really inspiring to a lot of people, and I thought that was really nice. So, yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously up to you, but I've loved your IVF journey so far, so I appreciate you
Thank
sharing
you.
all that. Yeah. Do you feel comfortable sharing what your birth plan is? Or have you thought about
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Although there's not much.
Yeah.
So people keep asking me this question and I'm like, I'm open to things changing because I know that you can't plan so specifically. I don't honestly have much of a plan as far as birth goes. And I don't know because I'm nearing the end of my pregnancy, I've been feeling a little bit more of an urge to be a little more educated and maybe look into some different things before I just show up and give birth. And I literally feel like I don't know like anything about it. Researching a little bit more, again, I have so many friends all across the board who have had completely different birth experiences. I've had friends who have done home births. I have friends who have done unmedicated births at a birth center or at a hospital. I've had friends who have gotten scheduled C-sections, been induced. Like, I truly have seen so many different options, I think, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And it's cool to also see that all of them have had healthy babies and they've been like, I had a good experience at the end of the day. So it does give me some peace that no matter what my route is, it will be good. So yeah, I do plan on giving birth at a hospital and I'm kind of undecided on a lot of the rest. So that's
Yeah.
my friend just recommended this birth course to me. So I was like, maybe I'll look into that. I'm kind of open to a few different options, I guess.
Yeah. I love that. Go with the flow. Are you a
Mhm.
water sign? Or you have any water in your chart?
I am an earth sign. I'm
Okay.
a Capricorn.
Okay, cool.
I'm a Cancer rising.
Ah, I love that.
So, I
Motherhood's
don't
gonna
know.
come so naturally to you.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah, that's cool. So one thing that was really interesting for me was style, and I think even, like, being a new mom, it's even more so than when I was pregnant. I didn't really buy any maternity clothes or anything like that. I just wore, stretchy things, sweats, leggings 24/7. Have you found yourself navigating style differently being pregnant, and do you think you will as you're postpartum?
It has been so yeah, so interesting being like, "Okay, that just doesn't fit me like I thought it was going to," or even I'll have
Mhm.
something in mind. I'm like, "Oh, that would be cute." And then I try it on, I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is not fitting how I envisioned with this, like,
Yeah.
just basketball in my stomach."
Yeah.
So, it has been interesting, honestly, to navigate, and I feel like it almost surprised me how, like, shocking the body changes have felt because I was like, "Well, logically, like, I know my body's gonna change. Like, when I get pregnant, I'm going to have this stomach that grows.
Mhm.
It is what it is." And then now that it's here, I'm like, "Oh, this is hard to, like, I don't know, feel kinda put together." Like you said, I wear sweats a lot, I wear leggings a lot, so I don't
Mhm.
often feel like, "Oh, I'm super elevated and I look really, like, put together." I'm actually going on
Right.
my friend's bachelorette party, and there's, like, all these themes for every night. It's like, "Okay, we're doing, like, sparkle night," and I'm like, "Oh gosh." I'm, like, trying to find all these I'm wearing lots of stretchy dresses, and it's gonna be fun, but
Yeah.
I don't know as far as postpartum goes too. Like, I feel like I've always been such a comfort person as far as dressing. Like, you're not gonna catch me in heels very often at all,
Mhm.
ever. I like just like sneakers and sandals and comfy clothes. So on one hand, it's been fine because I feel like that's kind of my style anyways, to be pretty casual.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a struggle. I have a few pairs of maternity leggings that are like my best friends right now. They're
Yeah.
so comfy.
I was really surprised when I was pregnant. The thing that worked best for me were low-rise jeans or low-rise
Mm.
anything, and never in my life have I worn a low-rise anything before. But I was like, I need low-rise because it going under the bump is so much easier than trying to get it to go over the bump.
It is. It's really
Yeah.
nice. That's kind of
Yeah.
been a formula for me too, like low-rise pants with like a tight top that just kind of forms over the bump or something loose. Yeah, I have been in
Yeah.
the same boat.
Do you feel really self-conscious at all about your body now, or are you loving being pregnant?
I would say that ebbs and flows for me.
Mhm.
I think on one hand, especially going through infertility and working so hard to get pregnant,
Mhm.
I have so much appreciation for being pregnant. Anytime I do feel like, oh, I feel kind of puffy or like I feel like this doesn't really look that cute, I think about just like what I've done to get to this point and I'm like, I'm so
Yeah.
proud of myself. I'm so proud of my body and like looks are truly the least of, my concern and should be anyone's concern when you're growing a human being that you're going to give birth to and raise. Like it's such a miracle. It's so incredible. So I definitely have days where I'm like, "Oh, this isn't that cute." Um,
Yeah.
just like when I'm in a certain outfit or yeah, I wake up and I'm feeling swollen or something. But I think overall, I really do have so much appreciation for just my body for doing this for me that it supersedes a lot of that insecurity, I guess.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear you say that because I happen to know a lot of women who are pregnant at the same time as me. And I am a model, and a lot of them were models. So, we play into vanity a lot more than the average person, I guess. But that was such a huge concern for a lot of them, my body and getting back into work. And it was just a lot of unnecessary pressure, in my opinion, that just women in general, we place on ourselves. The snapback is just heavily, glorified in our society today. And it's just like, I just gave life. I birthed a human. Why are we concerned about what I look like? I'm
Totally.
just trying to function and wake up and survive every day, let alone exercise. Like, it's so ridiculous.
I saw a girl, she was saying something about how I'll deal with this later. Like these concerns about my body. Like, I don't need to be thinking about this right now when I'm pregnant or when I'm like freshly postpartum. And not to say that you ever need to be like so focused on it or, be like, I need to deal with this. It's not that. I just think that resonated with me because I'm like, you just have enough to worry about when you are going through
Literally.
pregnancy and you're
Yeah.
freshly postpartum. And I don't think that needs to be one of the main things that we're focused on is like, and what does my body look like? Am I looking cute in this outfit? It's just like that can come later. Like you can, deal with that concern when you're not in the throes of something that really intense, like these really intense changes. So that's kind of been my motto. I'm like, I'll think about that later.
For sure. I mean, those first like 2 months, especially, like you just want your baby to survive. Like you're not thinking about anything else.
No.
So yeah, that doesn't need to be on your mind whatsoever. So normally on here, I'm the newbie, I'm the novice, and I ask our guests, for parenting advice or their best parenting hack. But for once, I am the pro and you are the novice. So is there, obviously take everything I say with a grain of salt, but is there anything that you'd want to ask or, for my best hacks or anything like that?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love picking people's brains about all different types of things. And I obviously have absolutely no advice for you. So, do you have any advice on ways that you still feel like you make yourself a
Yes.
priority or like keep your identity outside of just obviously being a mom is a huge piece of your life now, but like keeping some individuality and stuff like that?
That's a great question. My boyfriend, he is an actor, so he's not working all the time. And then sometimes he'll just have to go and work 6 weeks, But while he's been at home, we take turns with everything, especially in those early days. Like, it's like we didn't see each other, which was kind of depressing because we would just swap off, But I make sure that I have at least an hour of time to myself every day when I'm able to. And whether that's if I can't do it until after we put her down, or we have a lot of help from his family, so they'll come over and watch her if we need to. But I really try to prioritize a time where I'm not cleaning, I'm not cooking, I'm not working. I'm just doing something for myself. And I just did 75 hard and I'm on the second phase of it. And one of the tasks that you have to do is visualization. And whatever that means to you, whether it's journaling or meditating, praying, whatever it is. And I've been journaling and I make sure that I prioritize that time every day. And it's been really like cathartic for me. And I've never been somebody who, journaled or written down anything or anything like that. So I know a lot of new moms especially aren't able to get an hour a day. That's honestly a gold mine for a lot of people. And I realize that. But whatever time that you can carve out for yourself, that's just for you. It's not for baby. It's not for your husband. It's not for work. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, it's so needed where you're just doing something for yourself and you deserve it because, you are entering a new era of your life, but at the core, you're still you. You don't want to lose that essence of who you are. So yeah, just try and prioritize yourself if you can. In the beginning, it's super hard to do. I wouldn't even worry about it then. But as time goes on and you feel more comfortable and more confident in yourself as a parent, definitely incorporate that into your routine if you can.
I love that. Kind of going off of that, I guess another question would be, obviously at the beginning when you're still getting your footing, like, do you have any, I'm trying to think of even like specific areas, but any advice for when you're very freshly postpartum? Like, did you have anything that really helped you or helped your mindset, or was it just like surviving?
It is just surviving, but I was, like I mentioned before, I'm very hyper independent and I'm a very mentally and physically strong person. And this was the one thing in my life that really threw me for a loop. There's no amount of like preparation that could have, prepared me for what those early postpartum days were like. For the first week, I couldn't even get out of bed. Even like using the bathroom was like such a task for me. And relinquishing that control that I have over my own body and just over my own life, it was a really big deal for me. And like we talked about before, asking for help is something that was absolutely a game changer for me. Anytime I needed it, I asked. Anytime somebody wanted to come do something for me, anytime somebody wanted to come over, my friends, they would ask, can I come over? Do you need me to cook a meal? You need me to drop off groceries? Normally, I would say no. Even if I was sick before, I would say no. But I would be like, hell yes, please. Please Postmates me something. Please, can you come do my laundry? Can you, come take her off my hands for a few minutes? Asking for help, that is honestly the best advice I can give. Those early days, you don't know what's going to happen. So you just take it as it comes.
I love that. I'm very similar to you, to what you just described. I feel like I've always been very hyper independent. I'm the oldest girl in my family. I'm a Capricorn. I'm just like, I'll do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I think for me, IVF was the first time that I was like very humbled, like brought to my knees, like, okay, I need some help.
Yeah.
And I don't feel well. And I need, if my mom was like, hey, do you want me to come out and like make some soup and stuff? I was like, yes, I would love you to do that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that was good practice. And I definitely hope to keep that same energy for when I'm postpartum as well. Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope that's of some help to you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. My last tip that I would love from you is like any sleep advice. I know every baby's very different.
Well, we were really lucky in the beginning. She slept through the night from 4 weeks to 5 months. Like we got a solid 8 hours every single night. And it was really interesting, like talking with other parents about that, because we felt guilty saying that, because I think people expect you to struggle. And I do not subscribe to strugglehood. Just because you're a new mom, that doesn't mean that you have to have sleepless nights. If you're not a bad parent because you have a night nanny, you're not a bad parent because you get a doula to come help you out on some days. And I don't understand why people think that. I think people just associate, a new parent with sleepless nights and not feeling like yourself. And, to an extent that is true, but it's not the norm for everyone. We didn't experience sleepless nights up until recently, like when she started to break her first tooth. So that's when it really hit for us. But in the beginning, like, she was just a good sleeper. We didn't do anything. We weren't on a set schedule or nothing like that. It just happens like that. Like I said, take all of my advice with a grain of salt. I'm not saying this is what you should do. But when she was 2 weeks, we took her to a chiropractor because she was just really rigid and like stone almost. Like she wasn't flexible with her movements or anything like that. Like her neck movements were very like stoic and rigid. And so I saw a lactation consultant and she recommended I, take her to a chiropractor and see like if they can help her out. And obviously a baby chiropractor, they're not cracking bones, it's just pressure points and massaging. And we took her and it was like we got a new baby afterwards. It was so different and it was so crazy to see because I thought it was totally frou-frou and like, girl, you're just trying to recommend your friend to me and get her some business. But no, it was really cool to see. And like I said, I can't say if that's what made her sleep at night, but after we took her, that's when she started to sleep better. So, just something to think about.
Yeah, that's really good insight. I know that every baby is so different. That's why it's just hard to give or get any advice. But I feel like it's nice to hear a bunch of different options. And then, if you are struggling with something specific with your baby, you can kind of go back into your mind of like, oh, well, that person tried that and it helped. So maybe we could check it out. I think it's definitely worth knowing. Yeah, for sure.
Jaci, I'm so excited that you were able to come on the podcast with us today and just talk about your journey and just being so open and vulnerable about everything. I just love how you are online, just very unapologetically yourself. And please tell the people where they can find you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. You can find me on all basically social channels just with my name. So my name is Jaci Marie Smith on everything: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. And yeah, my name's spelled Jaci Marie Smith. That's where you can find me. Also, like I mentioned, I have a podcast with Dear Media called What We Said Podcast. It's with my best friend, Chelsea. And it's just a lifestyle podcast. So it's a bunch of girl talk. We talk about our lives, but we also do a lot of listener write-in stuff. So people will submit their stories or like what they want advice on, and we just chat. And it's the funnest thing ever. I am obsessed with podcasting too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have an amazing delivery.
Thank you so much.